funny project, this one, because the things I'm going to look at now are probably the things that led me to actually buying this bike in the first place. The thing that hooked me in was the M unit that this came with. When I was looking at this as a bike on eBay, it was those components, the M unit, the switches, the dyno ignition and some other bits and pieces that actually got my interest. And when I originally was looking to buy it, I was looking to use the parts on my other project, which is the gold bike, if you look at that playlist. As it happens, now this has become the main project. The gold bike just gets ridden now and again, during the summer anyway. So when I got it, it had already been wired up, not completed. Most of the things were working, the lights and such like. Most of the fasteners are okay. Some of them are the kind of crimp connectors that could do with a bit of looking at. I'm intending to go through each of the systems. I'll talk about the M unit obviously and the switches, but each of the subsystems as well. And I want to make it so that the electrics on this bike don't cause me a problem in the future. What an ambition that is! The backbone of this system is going to be this unit, which is the M unit. And it's a lovely little device really. I was very impressed when I very first saw these and definitely wanted to be using one on future builds of bikes that I got involved with. This project came with some really nice bits. It actually comes with the M button, the Motor Gadget M button. What's that, you ask yourself? Well, it's a little device that sits inside the headlight, and basically you have one wire from that goes into the config here, and that deals with all of the switches on the handlebars, the starter, the indicators, the horns, the kill, you name it. If it's on the handlebars, it comes in on one wire. I think that's absolutely a brilliant idea. The other thing with this is you can program it to do variety of things with your indicators and with your brake lights and such like. I'm not going to look at that just yet. That perhaps will be a future afternoon that I'll spend on that. At the moment, all I'm intending to do is to make sure that all the basic functions, all the wiring's nice, it's all connected up, and I don't need to keep revisiting it. The bike also came with a nice set of clocks, but none of the wiring for them had been linked up, although I do know the rev counter was connected and seemed to be working absolutely fine. So I'm going to make sure I include this wiring into everything else that I'm doing. The bike also came with lights already fitted and 2 or 3 options in boxes to be replaced. Now they're LED lights, and the Motor Gadget unit, the M unit, will work fine with LEDs, so that's a problem that's taken care of. And it even came with a lithium battery, and although it had been left for 5 years, it was still holding a charge, and I've no reason to believe it won't just work perfectly. The previous owner had drilled a plate and mounted it for under the seat for all the electrics to go on, and I'm going to continue using that. Some things that he had on there I'll probably not put back. There was a block here that gave a live feed for whatever you were going to power off it. May use that at some time in the future. The regulator and rectifier was sat here, and it was going to be underneath the seat. I prefer my regulators and rectifiers to get a little bit more air than that, so I'm actually going to mount it underneath. I've actually swapped it over already. I'll need to think about a bit of perhaps protection, as there isn't a mud guard or a hugger for this. I don't want it getting battered by the debris coming off the wheel, so I'm thinking of getting some sort of a plastic sheet to actually make a hugger that just follows the line underneath. It will still get really good cooling though, because the air will be coming that way. I won't go through every single wire, but things that are of interest I'll try and include into this video, and putting on a few fasteners and such like. Anything that I come across that I find may be of use to you, then I'll try and include that. So let's see what I can do with this wiring. The new gauges that came on this bike have a lot of warning lights built into the speedometer. So what I've done is I've already checked these, and I know that all the ones with the black in it are an earth, so I'll connect them to the earth. And then the others, which I've checked the wires through, and if I connect this to a live, so I can check. As you can see, that's the main clocks, that's the main beam, neutral and blue and green, which is what you'd have expected, oil, which is red, and the yellow one, which is the indicators. So I've put them together like that, all the earths on one, and then my intention is I'm going to put them into one of these plastic blocks so that I can then put another plastic block. This will sit inside the headlight. They are a little bit fiddly, but as you can see there's a little clip on the back, and you just have to make sure it lines up with where the clips should go. And as you push it in, and it actually holds in. So you decide which way around you want these wires, and obviously when you do the other plug you'll have to make it match. A good way to have a selection of wires to use is to actually buy 7 core or perhaps even 11 core of an appropriate gauge. It gives you all the different colours. There's about 5 meters here. I've been using it for a while, and now I'm just going to cut off appropriate lengths so that I've got wires to put on the other end of the connector for the warning lights. When you're putting the pins into this, you've got to make sure that you're lining the right ones up with the ones you did before. And I can see that the first one I want to put in is red. The next one is green. The next one is blue. Orange goes under the blue. And the final one is yellow. So let's see if that works now with my other connector. And I now can see the red should be on this side and the blue should be on that side. I know I've got a bit of black over that just to make sure it's that's it. But the ones at the bottom are also the wrong way around. It's terrible when you're thick. Luckily you can just unpin these, pull them back out and put them in the right way. I've quite quickly pulled the pins out, changed the wires over, put them back in. So this time should snap together very well. And what I'll do now is I'll check power going through these wires to make sure it does arrive at the right lights. Indicator. Yep. Instrument light. Yep. Main beam. Yep. Oil light. Neutral light. Looks good to me. One of the things I'm using is something that actually came with this project, is this plastic sheathing to put over parts of, well, for want of a better word, the loom. So as you can see, it looks very, very neat. I've put shrink wrap on the ends of it. It was a little bit of a fiddle getting some of the wires through, but I think it looks pretty neat. Now my concern would be it may actually keep dirt, but as this bike's only going to get used when things are relatively clean, I think that may well be something I don't need to overly worry about. I've found that if you've got wires at the end, basically if you just make them so they face backwards, they actually go in okay. And then this actually will open up quite wide. You get the wire in, and when you're pushing a few through, you have to like caterpillar it like that. So as you can see, the end does get a little bit frayed, so I also put on some heat shrink and just, you know, put that round. It makes it a really neat job. So the front of the bike I think I've got pretty neat at the moment, but I've still got to sort out what's going on under the seat. I have removed a couple of things, and I moved the regulator rectifier to under this plate. I'm still not overly happy with where the bits and pieces are, and I'm moving the light so it actually sticks out a bit further. You might see I've extended the screws on that. I'll show you that in the seat. I think the solenoid sticks into the area where the seat will actually be, and I'm thinking of moving it down to the bottom somewhere down here. Before I finish the electrics, I need to think about how I'm going to protect them as well. So I've stripped them all off again, and what I'm looking at is I've got this panel here with holes in it, and in reality I don't want, when I'm riding the bike, it to be throwing rubbish up through there. Well, the rain, it didn't actually stop, it's kept going for days. But I'm going to stop now with this particular video. I think I've shown enough of the wiring and how I've done the front end. And to be honest, before I can get to the back end of this, I do need to do that some sort of hugger, which I'll put a video out for. And then I think I'll do a whole session on the M unit when I've put some more parts in at the back of the bike. Because I realised that things like the oil tank not being there, it might actually have to change some of the wiring if I put it in now, so I'm not going to jump ahead too quickly. Projects are like that, the developer should go along. Anyway, if you've enjoyed it and you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. We really do appreciate it when people follow along. But thanks for watching anyway.